Rev up your engines! Okay, today we got an SUV. It's a 2012 Lexus RX350. They sold a lot of these things. Guy bought it for like $12,000 with $120,000. Now it's got 200-something thousand on it. Now, as you can see, it's still in excellent shape. Even though this was made in Canada. This was made in the same factory that made my Matrix, Cambridge, Ontario. Now they only make Lexuses there. You can see the wheels are still in excellent shape. And he pointed out it is an all-wheel drive vehicle. Being all-wheel drive, he's not going to get stuck. It's pretty comparable to a Highlander. You can take them a lot of places. You're not taking it rock crawling. And the main reason it's capable is because what's under the hood. Got a really nice V6 engine. 3.5 liter. They cover it with all that plastic nonsense, of course. But these engines can basically last forever. Which is why I'm mad at Lexus, because they don't make these anymore. They make the RX350s, but they're all turbo 4s, and they have been for like the last 3-4 years. They put turbo 4s in them all, or you can get a hybrid that has a regular 4-cylinder engine and hybrid, or they have a turbo 4-cylinder engine and hybrid, but they don't offer the V6. And that was the thing that set this apart. They're smooth. They get 23 miles a gallon on the highway. He's still getting it with all the mileage that he has on it. It doesn't burn oil. Still shifts good. We're going to go through all the data in a little while to see what shape it's all in. But the way these things sold is because they weren't cheap, but they weren't super expensive either. You know, they cost a little bit more than the Highlanders did, but not all that much more. Somebody wants a Lexus emblem, hey, it's a good car for somebody to buy. If you get a used one, like I say, I would not buy the new one. I would not buy a Turbo 4. I don't like them. Toyota's had problems going from bigger engines to smaller engines. The Tundras went from V8s to Turbo 6s. Now they got to replace 100,000 engines and take the TRD. My son bought that one because it's the last V6. Now they're Turbo 4s, and guess what? They're having problems with their engines and transmissions now, which they never had with the plain V6s. If somebody wants a vehicle, people should have a choice as far as I'm concerned. You want something that's got the torque of this, nice, smooth, not a lumpy 4-cylinder turbo that kicks up and kicks down. They want the power of a V6 and a Tacoma 4-wheel drive like my son's, so they can tow boats, so they can go off-road. They don't want a Turbo 4. And mark my words, it's going to bite them in the rear end because they're going to lose sales over that. Everybody's trying to push these Turbo 4s, but intelligent people, they do a little research and they see the engine's not going to last long enough. This thing probably still runs, we'll see when we road test, it probably still runs like it did the day it came off the showroom floor. You will never get that out of a Turbo 4 engine. Hey, they got pretty good ground clearance. It's got a lot more ground clearance than a Matrix has. There's plenty of room. So you can drive it wherever you want to go. You're not going to get stuck. And if you want to tow, you can tow with a V6. Just try towing something with a Turbo 4. They rate them at higher gas mileage, but a normal human steps on the gas when they have a turbo. The turbo kicks in, the engine revs up, they take off, which isn't exactly the thing you want when you're towing something, but then they get horrible gas mileage because ours revving too high. They test them on dynamometers, which they just set them at a certain RPM and leave them. People don't drive on dynamometers. They drive on the regular road. I had one of these Lexuses years ago when I was in Houston, and it was rated at 35 miles a gallon because it was one of those stupid Turbo 4s. I got like 23 miles a gallon driving that thing around. And I was driving the speed limit. I didn't even speed. So that tells you. They should have stuck with these things. If you can find one of these that's still running good, my advice is buy it. Even if you don't really need it, because it's going to last so long. You might say, boy, I didn't need that thing, but hey, I bought it. It's still working 10 years later. Okay, you might think I'm lying, but look, see, he sleeps in it. There's tons of room, and he camps in it. Hey, you got a luxury vehicle that you can camp out with all that space. Check out the leather seats. They knew how to make these leather seats when they built them in Canada. Lexus was ahead of the curve, so it does have a push-button start, which I'm not a fan of, but what can you do? So, there we go. We're going to go through a big scan of this thing. With this new scanner, we're going to give it a ring. Cold outside today, so it might take a little while for this thing to warm up. Well, it's got 96% of its power, so it should work. All right, we will do a scan. We're in Las Vegas. There go the numbers. Let's see if we get a winning one. I think lawyers made this one. They got so many disclaimers to stick it on. Got a few codes here, not too many yet. All right, minute, 3 seconds. So let's look at some of the codes. The ECM has one. Startability malfunction. Well, all of these with the keyless remotes, at some point in time, maybe it's too cold outside, whatever, the batteries are low, you get startability function. Means absolutely nothing. And there's a code for the cruise control. We'll see what crazy thing that is. Another startability. Well, same code, so we'll ignore that too. Don't bother with the tire pressure monitoring service because he knows one of the sensors on the wheel's bad. Adaptive front lighting system. Oh, that should be a funny one. This, of course, has the fancy headlights that are supposed to follow you as you go in the curves. Headlight swivel motor. Right-hand side has a history. Well, we all have histories, don't we? Who cares? Those have electric motors in them. As they age, sometimes they bind and stick. Who cares? It's the navigation system. Well, we'll see what it is, but he doesn't care because he never uses the stupid thing. Everybody's got phones. We use our phones. It's so much better than the crap they put in the factory ones. Then you got to update the software, blah, blah, blah. These things update themselves, and they work a lot better. That fault code just for kicks. See what it says. What is it going to say? Remote control device initializing malfunction history. Start her up. We'll look at some live data, where all the data is, and here we go. Voltage is good, air, fuel, the heater's working on the oxygen sensors. Great thing, it graphs them really quite well too. We don't need a graph now though. The low of the air-fuel ratio is minus 0.781. So at the worst, it's running 78/100th of 1% rich, because it's subtracting. With the mileage this thing has on it, that's pretty close to perfect. But I already figured that out because he's getting 23 miles a gallon, and that's what these things get when they're running right on the highway. Ever further on, see if anything looks interesting. Everything is passing the tests. Look at the air-fuel ratio. Okay, one is perfect, so it's 0.999, 0.993. It's only a few, thought it was perfect for a second there. It's only a few thousandths of a percent off, so I gotta say it's doing pretty good. Price, all cylinder misfire 0. Of course, it's not misfiring. And it's showing if there's a misfire, it messes with the cat. Well, they're all off because it's not misfiring. Gives you the catalytic converter temperatures. Notice the front one's hotter than the back one, which is typical. Here we go, all the misfires, they'll all be zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. All the information on the electronic transmission. We'll see how it shifts, but they normally shift smooth as silk on these things. They're so well made. Things blue, I don't see any bad data anywhere. And as you can see, it might be an old car, 2012. It's 13 years old, but if you want to play with data, it's even giving you the injector volume of the cylinders. As you can see, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Well, we'll bore everybody to death if we show them all. But everything is totally normal. It's blue. This particular one, blue, is good. The original steering wheel, and it's still in phenomenal shape. Plus, it lives in Texas where it's really hot. And the backup camera still works. It's got pretty good wide vision to it. It's not one of those cheap ones that you can't see what's going on. Now, as you can hear or can't hear, the wheel bearings are still in great shape. They're not roaring or anything. And this is really the Lexus where pretty much Lexus caught up with Acura, because in the beginning the Acuras actually were much better driving machines. They were a bit zippier and they were more fun to drive, but this thing, hey, it's just as much fun to drive as the Acuras are. And from my experience, these tend to last a bit longer. Here we go at the back of the road. We'll listen to the shifts. Look at that, we're going up a hill when it's strained, and you can't even feel it shift. These things are so well made. Yeah, they were made in Canada. They weren't made in Japan, but man alive, they knew what they were doing. They were putting these things together. Now we'll look behind us. Nobody's coming, so we won't get rear-ended. And let's see what this thing can do. Whee, good thing it has traction control. You can see it flashing. It would have burned rubber, but hey, plenty of acceleration on these things. Check it out, it's even in eco mode. These things are a lot of fun to drive, and they last a long time. And if you live where there's snow, maybe it rains a lot, you drive hard, the all-wheel drive is going to save you. And I do have to say, I have never seen the all-wheel drive system ever break on one of these. Ever. I've seen a lot of them break on the Acuras. That's one reason I like this better than the Acura. The Acuras always ran good, but they had a lot of problems with their early all-wheel drive systems. And Toyota, they make a better all-wheel drive system really than Honda does. All right, as you can see, hey, this thing just cruises down the line, no problems. I wouldn't think twice about driving this thing to California and back. I mean, look at that steering wheel. It's still in phenomenal shape. And it lives in Texas, where the sun usually beats everything up. And then like the newer ones, look, the dash isn't all sticky. It's such a shame that they're putting a Turbo 4 in them. So there you have it, a 2012 Lexus RX350, the perfect family car. But this guy doesn't have a family, he's by himself. He said he doesn't even put the back seats up. He leaves them down, he hauls stuff around, he camps in it if he wants to. Hey, they're great vehicles. A shame that they're not making the 6-cylinder engines anymore. What can you do about that? But if you're looking for something like this, hey, don't be put off by higher mileage. Don't pay more if it's got 200-something thousand miles on it. But hey, they can go a lot longer than this one's going. There's nothing wrong with this as it stands. But hey, if you're looking for an SUV, don't be put off by Lexus's high prices. Buy a used one like he did. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.